Hey, it's Mike from Dolan Cues and Billiards Instruction. Today I'm going to be talking about a kicking and banking system. This is a visual system called the midpoint parallel shift. What we're going to talk about first is the 2-rail kick, so I want to hit them on the 8 ball here, and the 1-rail kick is out because the 4 is blocking it, so I'm going to go 2 rails. So 1 rail, 2 rail, and into the 8. To do so, I'm going to take the midpoint between the object ball, the 8 ball, and the cue ball, and point it to the pocket that I'm going around this corner pocket. So once I find my midpoint, which I've used the 1 ball for visualization, I'm going to then shift to the 1 ball, to the cue ball. So I take the midpoint, and this is the tough part, shifting parallelly. Very often I see people just twist, or they take it and go like this. That is not a parallel line, so be careful. Go slow. You can even wiggle it back and forth. That tends to help. Side step. Once you get your line, so that's my aiming point. I know my aiming point. Does it make sense? Ask yourself that. Seriously. Does that line make sense? Kind of map it out and say yes or no. If it doesn't, do it again. In this case, we're going to use about a tip of left English, running English, inside to the pocket we're going around, and a level cue. And I'll call it a medium speed. So midpoint, parallel shift, I have my aiming line, it makes sense. And I get a good hit. So the speed there was very important. Play around with your speed, play around with your rails, play around with your English, fine-tune them for what works for you. Again, I'm going to do midpoint. This time I'm going to come in hard. So if I overhit it, I might even scratch. So still the same thing about a tip of running English, same line. Just going to increase my speed. So while I got a good hit, I actually hit that 3 rails. So I did come in short. It tightened it up greatly because of the speed. And now I'm going to hit this very soft, and you're going to see that it's going to come in very shallow, or very wide. So the speed of this is very important. The harder you hit off the rail, the straighter it's going to come back. I almost missed that backside, but you can see that it did come in much wider than hitting it direct on. So 2-rail kick shot, midpoint between the 2, shift. Does it make sense? Running English, about a tip, and then fire away. I'm going to use that same system for bank shots. So in this case, I'm on the 8 ball, and the side pocket is out of the question. So what I need to do, what I'm trying to do is bank it. Now, nothing's going to replace hitting a million banks, right? Like if you know it, you know it. Playing by gut, but if your gut's really not that smart, let's give it something to work off of. Let's give it a system to base things off of. So again, I'm going to take the midpoint, which is right about here between the 8 ball and the pocket in which I want to go to. I'm going to make a line over to the side pocket, the opposite pocket in which I want to bank it. Parallel shift. See my line, it makes sense. This time I'm going to use a little bit of outside English, not even as much, probably about half a tip. That's just to allow running English, rolling English to actually be transferred to the object ball, so it doesn't kill off the rail. We just want it rolling, not sliding. So if you don't have a system, I'm giving you one. Make it yours, play around with it. And it works. It'll get you there. I'm not cutting this video. I'm not rerunning it 1,000 times. So if this misses, it misses. It misses. Is it accurate? Yes. Is it infallible? No. So you're gonna need to play around with them, but at least will get you close. Something to base it off of. So that's 2-rail kick, that's banking. Now we're gonna talk about a 1-rail kick. The 1-rail kick is slightly different. We're actually not going to, every time else we point into a pocket to create our line. This time we're actually gonna create a pocket. So we're gonna take a line directly across. I'm gonna be kicking this way, right? So I'm gonna create a line over here and shift that over to the midpoint. So I've created what's called a 7th pocket in this case. Get midpoint between the object ball and the cue ball in the 7th pocket, line, shift, have my aiming point. Does that make sense? Level cue, about a tip, half a tip of right English, maybe a tip. And there's our kick shot, 1-rail kick shot. So these are all systems for you to work with. Again, think about the angle. You create the angle by using the midpoint. Your shift is incredibly important, so take your time. Look at that, re-look at that. Do it twice. Did you come up with the same point both times? That's your angle. Think about your strength. If you overhit that, it's gonna come out very straight off of the rail. If you underhit it, it's going to really come out wide. And then think about your speed or your spin. So to kick, we're using about a tip, give or take, depending on where you are, something for you to play around with, of inside running English, right? So midpoint, about a tip,